The Bruce Trail Bigfoot. The Niagara region is a popular destination for lovers, for wine aficionados, for fresh fruit, and lovely scenic routes. The fruit-growing region is due to the microclimate which is caused by the escarpment that runs along a few kilometers south of Lake Ontario and what has created the world-renowned Niagara Falls. Although it is called the Niagara Escarpment, the escarpment runs a total of 725 kilometers and moves north at Milton to reach Georgian Bay. The Niagara Escarpment is not only famous for causing microclimate in Niagara region, but it outlines the 850 kilometers of trail protected by the Bruce Trail Conservancy. Many people take to the trail to do a sort of pilgrimage and walk it for many kilometers. Although it is popular all throughout, it is most popular in the sections around the Niagara region. This very Bruce Trail is the scene of several strange sightings that have yet to be explained. Normally, when there are Bigfoot sightings, it is in wooded areas that are far from civilization, which is one of the reasons why it is so hard to document the existence of the cryptid. However, there are numerous reports of Bigfoot-like creatures sightings that date back as far as the 1950s along the Bruce Trail. This is one report in the Beamsville Post-Express that is barely noticeable from August 16th edition in 1951. It can be found in a small paragraph on page 5 of the weekly newspaper. It reads, "Locals walking along the section of the Bruce Trail across Cave Springs reported hearing strange noises in the woods. They say it resembled the sound of a guitar and perhaps a voice accompanying it. However, the voice did not seem to be that of a human, and the guitar playing was not usual. The couple tried to follow the source of the voice, but once close, the sound stopped, and a figure was seen scurrying further into the wooded area. Anyone with information that could be helpful to clarifying this mystery is invited to contact the Beamsville Post-Express." There is nothing further about that story in any of the local newspapers, and nothing more is heard about the Bruce Trail Bigfoot until the mid-60s. The Grimsby Independent has a record of a Bigfoot sighting on the 29th of April in 1964. The article reads, "A Grimsby woman reports to have seen a strange, unusual bear-like being walking along the southern section of the escarpment parallel to the Bruce Trail." The story goes that Margaret Hansberger was out for a walk with her dog when her dog began acting strange. She started to hear noises up along the hill along the escarpment, and when she looked up, she saw a large furry creature running along the hill. It looked like a large bear running on two legs. She couldn't believe what she was seeing, and she was close enough not to be mistaken. What she found strange is that this creature carried something on its back. She could not make out what it was exactly. She was surprised to see that the creature had stopped and was seated and was holding the object in his arms. Then the object began to produce sounds. She realized that it was a guitar that he was holding and trying to play. The creature emitted sounds along with the guitar that rang out in the hollows of the woods. This story was reported to the Grimsby police. The police took this story very lightly, but began taking it more seriously when a third person came to report a very similar experience. Again, there is an article in the Beamsville Express on Wednesday, August 25th, 1965. This article refers to the Smithville monster having turned up in Camden, about 7 miles to the northwest, apparently a few days after it was in Smithville. No less than 7 people were reported to have called the provincial police to say that they had seen the monster, which all of them describe as being big, black, and furry. Ellis Strand said that the thing he saw a yard behind his car just looked like a great big gorilla. George McDougall said he got a back view of the creature at night in his barn. Ontario Provincial Police downplayed the incidents, saying, "It's not a monster. There's no such thing as a beast, half human and half animal. Somebody is playing a hoax." While researching this story, I wanted to know if any locals had heard of Bigfoot anecdotes, and I made inquiries among the locals in the Lincoln area. Amazingly enough, there were several accounts of similar sightings. I had one conversation with a lady who recalled that when she was about 8 in the 1970s, she was walking along the trail as she would often do. She heard strange noises as well, and heard what many others have described as very rough guitar playing. She told her mother, but her mother never really took her seriously. She kept a drawing that she made of her encounters all those years ago. I was also contacted by a man, and this is his story. He wanted his name to be withheld, but this is his actual voice and his actual account.
Okay, you want the story about my encounter with Bigfoot. Well, it was a long time ago. Here I am in the woods here, not far from Cave Springs where that happened. I'll tell you about that. Anyway, it was a long time ago. Some say I was 10. I probably was more like 12, 13 when this happened. We had this experience. In the summertime, when I was at that age, we spent a lot of our time, every summer, every weekend, we would head up to the caves at Cave Springs and do the exploring and run around there for the whole day. And this was prompted by a legend we heard from, and it was from several people, about a lost cave that was full of Indian artifacts. And we were sure we were going to find that, so we'd spend our whole afternoon, a Saturday, running around through the caves, exploring caves all day long. And that cave had ice in it all through the summer. Anyway, so we would be exploring around there, exploring all these caves. Some of them small, just hardly crawl into, and others were fairly large, with fairly large room inside, enough to hold a couple of people and maybe even sit down and live in there for a while. Anyhow, we were exploring around through there. Well, we were exploring. We heard this noise up on the hill a little above us. It was kind of a screechy noise. Well, not screechy, twangy noise, yeah. And I thought at first it might have been a blue jay, because blue jays have very strange sounds sometimes. And then we heard this kind of, along with it, there was a more like a sort of a human type of voice. Not quite human, but sound like somebody trying to sing a song or something, but it wasn't very melodious. And so we thought, let's check this out. What is this bird or animal? What's happened? So we started to climb up through the rocks. So we stopped and hid behind a big rock, and then we saw this figure, sort of maybe about maybe 5, 6 feet, maybe, kind of grayish black. I don't know. We thought, my gosh, that's a bear. We've never seen a bear here before. And it was crawling. It started climbing through the rocks. It was very hard to see. Anyway, it seemed to have something on his back too. And we went back home and told my parents, and they said, "Oh yeah." But as I was thinking about it more, we had this myth already of the lost cave that people sort of dismissed, but it was really easy to lose things in that area. But with this animal, or this being, whatever it was, I think it was I would say Bigfoot. It could have been living there in those rocks and caves, because some of those caves were quite large, and it might have been even living in this lost cave, hiding inside there, and it was quite interesting, especially the noise that it made, with this twangy noise, and then this sort of vocalization. Very strange. Anyway, it was quite a scary experience in some ways, because we couldn't identify this. So that was my story.
The man then sent me a copy of his photograph from 1963. It is undisputable proof that there was, and may still be, a strange guitar-playing cryptid that roams along the Bruce trails in the Niagara Peninsula. These stories have stoked the myth about the figure in that region enough to have a motel bearing the name, the Bigfoot Blues Motel, which is located on the North Service Road just past the Victoria Avenue exit off the Queen Elizabeth Way.